Hey everybody, welcome back to the Live Ultralight Podcast powered by Outdoor Vitals. For those of you that are new to this podcast is all about getting you out on trail more comfortably and more confidently. And the topic of discussion today is especially about those two goals. We're going to be inviting you to join us in setting a massive goal. For some of you, it's going to be an absolutely life-changing goal. And we've seen that, we've proven that out. So today we're going to be talking about the OV 100 Mile Challenge. We're going to be talking about changes to the program. We're going to be talking about how we open this up to the public this year instead of just our closed beta group. And we're going to talk about how we've made it more possible for anyone to take part and accomplish this goal. So join us in this conversation. Don't tune out. Don't sleep on this. This could be one of the best things that you hear or take part in all of 2023. Don't tune out either if you think that 100 miles is too far. You don't have any interest in that, because the way that we've built this, I think, will work for anyone and everyone, and take where you're at and just enable you to accomplish something great alongside us and really prioritize what's the most important, which we believe is connecting with the vital outdoors. We're here to just help facilitate that. And this is a fantastic tool for that I think you're going to want to get all of the details on. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump right into the conversation. We have Derek here, our marketing director, Tyler, VP of Ops, on the podcast with me today. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk.
Yeah, Tyler, specifically, you've been putting a lot of energy and effort into this, and we really doubled down our efforts into this challenge. A lot of you may not know what this challenge is, so we'll quickly talk about that, but we really wanted to explain why the heck we would be willing to do this, why you should take a hard look at this. But for years, we have developed content on YouTube. We've done podcasts. We've done all sorts of mediums. The thing about that medium is it's free advice. It's take it or leave it, and it doesn't always inspire people to get up off the couch and go set a big goal. So because of that, we have brainstormed for years. Should we build a course? Should we do live in-person hikes with people, and just we've thrown out everything that we possibly could think of, and what we eventually landed on was a challenge. And the reason that I personally love a challenge, and so many of us in the office love challenges, is we're very goal oriented. Personally, in my life, I've seen goals change the entire trajectory of my life for the better. They've made me a better hiker, obviously, but they've also made me just a better human, a better husband, a better father. They've pushed me to do things and achieve things that would have never been possible, that when I look backwards, I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to push myself. I find most of the growth in my life, and most of the things even worth having in my life, come from pushing harder, from taking the hard road that led to something better on the other side. And so that really resonated with us, and I think it was the best way that we could come up with to help inspire people to come hiking with us, to be able to build that connection with our customers, and also just to help you guys accomplish some amazing things. And I think we really accomplished that last year in the beta form of this group. Again, last year we launched this as just a beta test, and it did extremely well. So we're back this year to push on it more and to see more of you guys go out there, set big goals, and achieve them. With that being said now, let's just talk a little bit about last year's event, right? And what we saw of that, maybe the things we expected, maybe the things we didn't, and really what the people who participated in that event got from it.
Yeah, so like you said, Tayson, we've gotten a lot of requests over the years for people to come hiking with us, and that would be really fun if that was feasible. That's hard to do with scheduling and permitting and just the logistics of us running a business and having to do other things on our company trips other than just, hang out, like we're doing R&D and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So that was one reason that we wanted to do an event last year. Another was we were wanting to give back to our Live Ultralight members, wanting to just create a lot more of a sense of community and give back to the group. And
what do you mean by give back, though? Like, this is an event. We actually charge for it, but we also try to provide a ton of value in it. So if we're charging for it, though, how are we giving back?
Yeah, so the giving back side was kind of alludes to what you were saying about all this content that we create, and like we saw a need per se for creating backpacking courses or just putting more information out there to help people to become more confident and capable outdoors. But we figured the best way to do it was to teach people how to complete a bucket list type backpacking trip. And so we created what we call the 100-mile framework. And that is it's a combination of education, training plan, stories, and everything that we could think of to put into one book that will help people to be as prepared as possible to accomplish their most exciting and motivating backpacking trip.
Yeah, I think just to accompany that as well, it alludes to the fact that we view this as a way that we give back, because the way that we price this is to not make money on this event. So, like if you were to sign up, you're going to get a swag box. And just in the shipping and the swag box and stuff we will send to the finishers alone, those hard costs, that covers all of the cost of the registration of it. So all of our labor and time that goes into this is essentially non-billable. And so to us, this is giving back, because this is the lowest ROI I can convince Derek, our marketing director, activity to let us do, because we don't turn an ROI on this.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at numbers and looking at, what can we do as a company to make sure we have profits and can stay a company. But this is something that is well worth all the time and energy and effort that we can put into it. I like to live my life as best as I can by a quote that goes something like this: live your life so that you can get to the end of each day and turn around and say, I'm glad I did. And to me personally, that's a huge reason that I want to promote this challenge. I want to be a part of it, and I want to help as many people as possible participate in it. There's a lot of us out there that we've had goals, and Tayson has brought that up. We've had goals, and we put them off, and we said, maybe when I'm in a better position to accomplish this, I'll actually do it. Maybe when my job's not so busy, or maybe when my health's a little bit better, or whatever it is, and we keep putting things off, and then years go by, and we get to this point and realize, well, I never did it, and now the window's passed. So to me, this challenge will help all of us do the hike, accomplish that adventure, go experience those amazing things outdoors that benefit all of us so much, mentally, emotionally, in any way. Being outside, really connecting with the outdoors is what we want to help everyone do.
So I want to ask now, both of you guys have completed this challenge before. And which means inherently that both of you have hiked 100 miles. So why would someone choose? Because I imagine a lot of our listeners are they've hiked 30 miles, they've hiked maybe 40 miles on trips, maybe a little bit more, and some have done 100 miles, right? But like, why are we doing 100 miles, and what's the benefit to someone to set a goal like that? Like, why does it even matter?
Well, to me, a goal is not really worth having if it doesn't push you a little bit. If it's something that you could have instantly, just do it, and it's not really worth setting a goal for it. But Tayson, you've talked about setting goals and how that's helped you be a better father, a better husband, and better in all these aspects of life. And I think for me, that's part of it. Physically and mentally, 100 miles is big enough that it's a stretch, and it puts some pressure on you to just push a little farther and dig a little deeper, which in turn, when you've accomplished that goal, will give you a bigger and better reward. Going back to, being able to turn around and say, I'm glad I did. I'm much more glad I did something big than, hey, congrats, Derek, you got up and brushed your teeth today, versus you hiked 100 miles this summer and you saw some amazing things. You were able to disconnect that much because you're so far out, on this hike, and that's just so rewarding. And I think it's something that everybody, especially in today's fast-paced culture, can benefit from.
Yeah. So to sum that up, it just sounds like because the goal is big enough, it's changing and altering your behavior leading up to it, right? So you might get into better physical condition. You're gonna care more about the gear you take, so you're vetting that a little bit more. And then there's the benefit of, look, doing 100 miles, especially if you're one who chooses to do this all in one shot, you're getting like 5+ days of dedicated hike time instead of, a one-nighter here, which may not have given you personally enough time to disconnect.
Yeah, no, if I wasn't purposely trying to do that, I probably wouldn't have taken that much time to prep and to actually execute the hike, and I really would have gotten less from it overall.
Yeah. I think that's really good. What about you, Tyler?
I think another reason that we focused on a 100-mile challenge is because you really don't hike 100 miles by accident, right? It's like it's hard to hike 100 miles in a month, typically, unless you're a thru hiker. But this is a challenge that we created that we wanted to prepare people and motivate people to do a really substantial, like life-changing type bucket list kind of backpacking trip. And by setting it at 100 miles, it does a couple things. It scares me enough to take it seriously, which is like great, because then I do train better, I go in more prepared, and I have a much better experience, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is 100 miles is a pretty good distance for covering a whole mountain range. There's a lot of trails or sections of thru hikes all across the U.S. where if you do 100 miles, you've covered an entire range of mountains. And for those who cannot quit everything to do a 4-month thru hike, a 100-mile hike through an entire mountain range is an awesome experience. It's an awesome accomplishment.
It's possible. Right?
Yeah, it's totally doable.
Like you even for those of you that don't have a full week off of work per se, 3 days plus your weekend, and you're right there in the mix. I would second everything that these guys have said on why 100 miles mattered to me. It definitely motivated me to improve my physical condition. Lost weight even in preparation. Became way more capable of a backpacker just in the training, let alone when getting into that execution stages of it. It seems like today we live in this situation where whatever has the closest deadline gets the attention. And so for me, if let's say it was a 50-mile trip, and I wasn't trying to do it in let's say a tighter time frame or something, or even with the 50-mile trip, I can just say, okay, I can break that into 3 days. I can get that kind of work off time or time off work. It's not going to hit that scale for me of I need to prioritize training over fill in the blank, right? So I think that the 100-mile scares me enough, just like Tyler said, to prioritize the training of it. I think the other aspect of it, though, for sure, is what you can do with the 100 miles that you maybe not be able to do on a 25-mile, a 50-mile trip. For us, we went and did the Uinta Highline Trail. And, to go from the east to west or west to east terminus on that trail, it's 110-ish miles straight shot. So you just can't see all that country unless, we did a lot more trips and looped a lot of trails and all sorts of things like that.
A lot of shuttles.
Yeah. And for me, the 5 days that we took to do that, 4.5 days, whatever it was, really mattered because it is enough time for me to disconnect as well, to be able to just be there and not worried about what I left at work, what I'm coming back to at work, those types of questions that when you're pulling off half days and things like that, that can start to cloud your experience out there. So 100 miles has been a phenomenal experience for us. And I think that it could be a great experience for everyone, whether you're doing a little section hike of 100 miles on the AT, or any of those through hikes, whether you're doing a full mountain range, whatever it is, I think there's just more you can do within 100 miles. So that if you've never thought about that, I challenge you to just think about that for a minute. What would your bucket list hike be if you had that kind of time or that kind of distance to accomplish something? It broadens your horizon, right? It's kind of the same concept of when we started fast packing. The reason that I latched onto fast packing was, hey, traditional backpacking, the way that I was doing backpacking, hiking, let's say 15 miles a day, gives me, a 30, 40-ish mile trip in a weekend or a 3-day trip. And that doesn't always give you enough time to complete some of the hikes that you'd want to do. And so when we started to speed that up, it literally like doubled the amount of trips and opportunities that I had to go and accomplish certain trails and hikes and see things that I just couldn't see if I wasn't going faster. So by prioritizing and setting these big goals and putting a 100-mile label on it, it's going to open up bucket list level opportunities for a lot of people listening. So
now, based off some of the previous comments on our YouTube channel and on this podcast, there might be a few of you that are kind of balking at the 100 miles part. You're thinking, well, I would never do that. That's just not something that I would want, have ever done or maybe would want to do. But maybe just hold on just a second. There's a few things that we could explain that might help with that.
Yeah, yes, for sure. We learned from last year a few things. We were inspired by a few people, and we will have options for some of you that just flat out think 100 miles is too far. So stay with us.
Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about before we get away from why we're doing this. And that is really like we talked about doing this challenge as a way to give back. And part of what we mean by that is we want to facilitate all of you, everyone who's hiking and interacting with Outdoor Vitals, to be able to make new friends, learn new things, and share with the entire group. So we look at ourselves as facilitators of a community that is built around this challenge. And that was one of the coolest things that we experienced last summer when we did the beta, was we had a separate Facebook group for those who had joined the challenge, and everyone just jumped in there and they were sharing how their training was going, what gear they were using, what food they were taking, what shakedown trips they were doing. And they were just making all these comments. They were making friends. They were setting up meetups. And it was just really cool to see how creating a challenge also created a community that people got a lot of value out of. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about this is when everyone has one united goal and they have a way to communicate about it, it opens up a whole new type of synergy and energy that just keeps people in it until it's finished. There was a lot of accountability and camaraderie and all of that. So
yeah, we definitely don't call this like the OV 100 mile solo event, right? We wanted to build as much community into this as possible, and that really came out swinging in our first year. That Facebook group had constant comments in it, people sharing, and they were really inspiring to us and other people in the group, right? Just hearing how people were losing weight, working through injuries, building confidence in themselves, getting out, prioritizing training so that they were even just going hiking in the mornings or something for training, and how much that they appreciated and enjoyed that. There was a massive sense of community that came from this that really took off, and it was way more than a solo event, a DIY event. It was a community event, and it felt very much that way. Maybe on trail, you're not like talking with the members, but I thought multiple times when we were out on the Highline Trail about how many other people were out on trail at the same time as us, and what it was going to be like to come back and jump back into that Facebook group and share those experiences and see where everyone else had been and see what they were up to. So I think we built a really cool community by doing it as this event, and it is not, it does not feel, and we've leaned into this more, which we'll explain in a minute, of building more community into this as well.
You know, one thing that was interesting about that community is that, especially on that Facebook group, people continued to encourage each other even after the trip window had ended. So let me just read a few comments and things that people had either put on the Facebook group or emailed in after the challenge was over, and they were still commenting and leaving their feedback. CJ, he said, the program helped me to get stronger. It also helped with education on hydration, nutrition, and general safety. Brandon, he said, my daughter and I made a goal to get 100 miles together over 2 months. My daughter is 9 years old. We had Kings Peaks as our final adventure of our 100-mile summer. This was such a fun adventure with her and awesome to see her push herself at such a young age. And then one more. Ryan, he said, we had a blast and it was a great experience to share with my son. Thanks to this group that really helped me with my physical prep.
Yeah, those are like that last part. Both of those last ones would really talk to you about the relationships of people they took out on trail, right? Brandon taking his daughter out. We have a podcast on that if you want to hear more about that experience. So you can go back into the archives with Brandon Gillum. I always forget his last name exactly. But like Ryan, you know, taking his son out, we internally value those type of comments so much in just that it's not just about getting outdoors. It's about the relationships, whether that's you connecting with yourself or you connecting with others. It was remarkable to see all the comments come in, and I think through the buildup, we didn't even realize how many people were going to be taking others with them on trail that did. And so when people started posting about their trips, it was really cool to see that content come in too. So the other part where we got some feedback, I guess, was we do live events. Essentially we were doing Facebook Lives, right? To get people on, talk through the program, answer questions, all of those types of things. So that's the other way that we really focused on community, and it was awesome to see people jump on, ask questions. I think we planned those for like 30 minutes. It was all.
They're always an hour or more.
Yeah, they all went over an hour because there were so many good questions and things to cover. So we're going to actually improve on those this year. With the way that we're going to be able to interact with the community and make it more of a community live event instead of just a bit more of a one-way mirror, I guess you could say, on that. So
it'll essentially be like a Zoom call where if someone has something they want to share or ask, they can raise their hand, we can give them the floor, and they can speak right to the group rather than wait for us to find them in the comments.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool.
And that starts tying it back to what we brought up earlier about, you know, if you're one of those people that 100 miles sounds like way too much for you maybe, this is kind of where things start to get really exciting, if you ask me. So how this works is you set your goals. We're not going to tell you to go hike the Uinta Highline Trail. We're not going to go tell you, you know, you've got to have this much elevation. You've got to do it exactly on these days. There's a window about just a little over a month of when you can do your hikes sometime between those days. But essentially, this is about you. This is about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and we're here, like Tyler said, to facilitate that and to help. This training program with these live calls, these live meetings, we will be here to help you every step of the way, answer your questions. We have a whole training framework that will help you know what you need to do each week leading up to your hikes in order to be in physical condition to be able to accomplish it. And if you're still not wanting to do 100 miles in one trip all the way through, this year we're actually going to be able to have an option for you where you can get basically a cumulative 100 miles. So stack multiple trips together within the time window still and still get 100 miles in that month window.
Yeah, so we've got the option this year. And again, we were kind of inspired by just what many of you guys were doing out there in that beta group. So this year we're going to offer the option to either do it nonstop, meaning 100 miles straight, or stacked, which means stacking a few trips on top of each other to accomplish a cumulative 100 miles. Are we making them? Are they choosing that upon sign up, or is that like a? Yeah.
Yeah, they do choose it on the website when they sign up.
Yeah. We want you guys to get serious about which method you want to do, and it all comes back into your own personal plans, right? One of the nice things about doing it this year is last year we launched it a little bit later in the season, whereas this year we're launching it in January, which means if you're like me and you're cutting weight pretty hard right now after the holidays and some of those, setting some physical goals and stuff, it's going to line up very well with that. And it can be something that you guys can keep your focus on all year and have an even bigger impact in your life, right? Because not only is it just about the event of doing the 100 miles, it's the training, it's the shakeout trips, right? So this is going to, I think, push you guys to prioritize getting outside and focusing on hopefully the things that matter to you. I mean, they matter to us at a really deep level, and if you resonate with that, then you're one of us, right? So it's a great way to get signed up and get started off on the right foot this year. So let's go straight into the program itself and what it is, what it offers. We've already talked a little bit about, yes, it's hiking 100 miles. You can do it nonstop or stacked. Obviously, we've talked about a framework, so we'll go into the details of that. Is there anything at a high level that we want? I mean, basically,
yeah, I can just give you kind of how the whole thing works.
Yeah.
So, signups will be from the middle of January to the middle of February. We definitely encourage everyone to check it out and sign up if
it
you're
is
on the
open to the
fence.
public this year.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is in beta, we just had this going to the Live Ultralight members, and we realized that we could give back a lot more by doing this for more and more people. So if you sign up with us during this sign-up month, you will get what we're calling the swag box. And so that is going to come with a bunch of goodies. It's going to include our 100-mile framework book. It's an actual physical book that you can read and write in and keep track of your stuff. Then you also get some cool stuff from Outdoor Vitals, from Onyx Backcountry Maps, from Mountain Ops, from Squirrel's Nut Butter, and then from some other brand partners that we're bringing into this as well. And
let me say one thing there. Just one of those items going in the box is going to be the Altitude Sun Hoodie, which is a $50 hoodie. That piece alone covers basically the cost of the entire registration. So this box, we are putting a lot of value into it just in the book and the altitude alone. So
yeah, the framework itself could easily be sold as a $75 to $150 course if that was the direction we wanted to take it. So there's a ton of valuable info in there. But what happens is we're going to ship this swag box like the first week of March, and when you get it, you're not allowed to open it. You have to wait.
Who listened to that last year? Really, Tyler?
I think we had a good amount of people who opened it during our live kickoff event, and that's the goal for this time.
Tyler's just sad Christmas is over.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the goal this time. You get the box. You wait until March 17th, which I think is our kickoff, and you can unbox it with us. We'll introduce you to all the cool stuff that you're getting. And that marks kind of the start of this journey that you're going to go on with us. And so from the middle of March to the middle of June, you'll be following a training plan that is outlined in the 100-mile framework that you customize to yourself. And during that time, everyone will be training together. And so every couple of weeks, we'll do these live conference calls with all the participants, and we'll just talk about how things are going. We'll answer questions about the framework. We'll answer questions about issues. We'll open up the floor to all the participants so that they can answer questions peer to peer. And we just want to build the community. And so you'll have those live conference calls. You'll also have access to the closed Facebook group to share how your training is going, ask questions, and share all of that. And once you have completed the training by the middle of June, you will be prepared to do your 100-mile challenge. And so the trip window is going to go from the middle of June to the end of July. And the reason we have a window for this 100-mile challenge trip is because we want it to feel like we're all doing this trip together. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Like, we get to do something together, but we're not creating a ton of impact in one single area in our national parks or in our in our wilderness. And so everyone goes out and does their own trip, their dream trip that they've planned using the framework and training for. And then at the end of July, we'll come back together in one last conference call, and we'll see how it goes. And for those who either do multiple trips in that 5-week window and stack up 100 miles over a couple of backpacking trips, or those who do the nonstop, they will get finishers' hats and pins to kind of show just a badge of honor of taking part in this whole event with us.
Yeah, it's kind of comical because this morning I signed up for the Tusher Ultra race again. So for those of you that listen to those podcasts or watch those videos, I'm gonna attempt it again. And I say it's funny because essentially we're putting on an event. We're sending you swag. We're giving you a hat if you finish. On that event, I got a T-shirt, right? And then I got a little wooden little kind of like a finisher's pin, right?
Medallion thingy.
Medallion. And I paid $230 on the early bird registration of this thing, which made me balk just a little bit.
Spaghetti that they give you.
I think I have to pay $13 to get the spaghetti, right? But nothing against Aravipa. We love you guys. You put on a phenomenal event. Really, you're paying for, some of those aid stations and some of the safety and fallback of that event. But this really is like an awesome opportunity, I think, and it's priced extremely well. I wanted to go back to talk just for a second, though, and make sure that people understand some of this framework. We're not telling all of you to go out and hike 100 miles and that we can have anyone ready to hike 100 miles in 3 months. You will set your own baseline in this training plan. Right in the beginning, you will go set your own baseline and figure things out. And then from there, we have guides that take you step by step to accomplish your goal and what we feel like is a full reality for you in the 3 months of training and preparation time, and then the window that we give you. So I just wanted to call that out. But inside of this framework, I don't want to give away everything, but we do cover everything inside of here. Everything from like a full training plan to hydration and food to gear prep and shakeout trips and pitfalls, and what's the optimal training for this kind of stuff, and what stuff, like how do you work through injuries? And there is all sorts of phenomenal information in here that's extremely valuable and that we have learned through a lot of our own hard-fought experience on the trail that we don't feel like you guys need to, experience the same pitfalls maybe we have. Or read, one of the books that I read and draw a lot of inspiration when even crafting this was like a 30-something hour book, about running and hiking trails. And so we've really made this an extremely actionable book to look through and to utilize. And it's, if you were to go and, like Tyler said, learn all this information on your own, you could pay hundreds of dollars in coaching. You could buy book after book, and then not to mention just all of the miles that we put on the trail. So it's a cheat code per se that's going to give you the best possible method of executing your bucket list dream hike. So
this framework really has some awesome stuff. If you've never heard of the sweat test, it sounds gross because it is. Not only if you join the challenge, not only will you get to learn what the heck the sweat test is, you'll get to experience it, which I will promise you will make your life much better in a lot of different aspects. There's some really cool stuff that we've included in the framework, and it's really going to help really anyone improve their health. Like Tayson mentioned, we've all got to decide, where we're at now, and you've got to set that for yourself. What's your base numbers? Where are you starting? But no matter where you're starting, all of this stuff will be helpful, and it will help you improve and reach your goals.
And we've even learned from last year, right? Like we've learned on the trail. So some of that stuff, has got built into the framework, things that we've learned from running my first ultra or anything like that, or going and doing a collective hike, but also coming back into the next big part of this, which is those live interactive coaching or Q&A calls, whatever you want to call them. Those are a big commitment for us. Like we have to set all the equipment up. It takes an hour plus of our core team's time to get on those, but we can share detailed information through there and take those conversations wherever we need. And this year we're going to do those through Zoom. to allow you guys to ask us on video what your questions are, and we can have more of a conversation than we've ever had. And it can really be more of a interactive coaching call than a, hey, submit questions beforehand and we'll answer them, or ask them in the chat and we'll answer them. These are going to be really, really interesting. And we'll be able to bring on guests and ask other people to share some of this, through our own networks. And so there's going to be some real opportunities there to have high level interactive calls. And again, like Tyler said, we thought that these would be really straightforward, take us 15 to 30 minutes. But what we found is that on those calls, they got longer and longer. More and more questions were being asked, and more value was being added just to this program. So that's another major part of this program. Anything to add from either the framework or conference calling? Okay.
I think so.
So we talked about the swag. We talked about the framework. We talked about we need to get away from calling it swag too, because like, for instance, that hoodie, it's not swag. That thing is going to be very functional.
Performance product.
It is. It's going to be your best friend while you're training and executing this challenge. But is there anything that we skipped over that are valuable details for this event?
I just kind of look at this like in a lot of other sports, you learn from the people that you do the sport with, whether it's a team sport or a more competitive sport. I used to race mountain bikes a lot, and when I would go sign up for a mountain bike race, there would always just be this really neat sense of community of seeing all these different people coming to one place to celebrate the sport and to see what they can learn and how well they can do it, and you don't get that with hiking normally. You get it with trail running if you run trail races, but this isn't a trail running event. This is a hiking event where we want to build the community, but also still at the same time allow you to enjoy that peace and quiet of doing your own hike. So it's a really unique opportunity to learn from the community while still enjoy your peaceful outdoor time yourself.
Yeah. I think that this event turned out better than we ever could have hoped. The value that was created, the stories that were shared. Let's just be honest. Like, I'm talking right now to a camera and a microphone, and it's not that that's lonely, but we're helping thousands of people at Outdoor Vitals every year, up-level their backpacking. We're helping them get performance products that inspire them and they can have a ton of confidence in. But I don't get to hear or see that back as much as I would like to, right? I'd love to be able to see and shake every one of your hands and know you personally. But what was so awesome about this particular event was it broke down so many of those barriers. It broke it down so that, inside that Facebook group, we could have really intimate posts about what we're doing and get real feedback of us feeling like we were having a real difference in people. Because, look, product is our method. Product is what, we sell product. It's what pays the bills. It's what allows us to do this every day. But it's not necessarily our why. Like, product enables us to do our why. Product, empower, like it enables us, like, from a business to run, but it also enables us to get outdoors, right? And the better the product, the more comfortable you are out there, the more confident you are out there, the more likely you'll make it happen more often. So it is a part of this, but us facilitating people getting outdoors and improving their own life through outdoor experiences and relationships is our why. And we got that in feedback through last year's event, and it's why we're doubling down on this and running it the way that we are, trying to make it completely approachable to anyone who wants to take part in this, because I think the impact was so worth it. It was just, I don't know how else to say it. It was a bigger impact than we thought that we would have. Even with the amount of people we led in that beta group, we still made a massive impact. And so this year, my hope is, I could tell you to go buy one of our products where we make money, but my real hope is that you'd buy this, you'd sign up, you'd get registered right now and take part in this, because I think it will have a bigger impact, honestly, on you than going and buying our newest Vario jacket or whatever it might be. It's so incredibly powerful. The feedback was phenomenal, and I'm excited to kick off another year. Any last thoughts, Derek? I feel like you've got something to say over here.
No, I just want to bring it back to my why, which I think really should be everybody's, which is, do it. You'll look back and you'll say, I'm glad I did. And for that reason alone, just accomplishing your own goals, this is worth every bit of effort you're going to put in. This is worth, the really minimal amount of money you'll put in to register. It's really going to be something you'll look back on and remember, and quite possibly with friends and family if you're going to be hiking with them.
Yeah.
There's too many amazing places to not get out and see something awesome every year. And so I don't know, where are we doing our 100 miles at? Colorado? It sounds like we're going
the
to
top
Colorado.
of the list right now is Colorado. I'd love to get out there and do a section of the CT or the CDT. I've been in the San Juan Mountains a bit the last couple of years and absolutely love them, but I mean, all throughout there is beautiful, beautiful country. So maybe we'll set a year-on-year goal of even like doing the Colorado Trail as a team, where we'll do it for 3 years in a row, or if we need to, 4 years in a row to finish that 480 miles, something like that. So that's top of the list right now. We've still got to figure out the logistics of that, but I'm super inspired to get out there in that high country and see some crazy, amazing mountain ranges. But there's I mean, for me, like I'm kind of a Western hiker, I guess you could say. We have done some on the AT, and it was phenomenal as well. And I'd love to go back and do some more sections there, either in the Smokies or the Whites. Man, I mean, we've been so many places. Wind Rivers, that would be amazing. Sawtooth Mountain Ranges. I'd love to get and go do the John Muir Trail. I may have to just do that like nonstop, so I don't have to do the permitting side of it, which would be, which may kill me.
A new record?
I'll just no. I mean, I've interviewed guys, right? Aurelius Sanchez, right? Like he had the FKT for the longest time. They don't. I mean, I think he like laid down on the trail for a couple minutes. I don't know if I'm
permit for that.
You can't stop for lunch here. You can't stop for a midnight snack and close your eyes. No, but there's so many amazing places to hike that we were very excited to see. We actually changed the dates this year to aid a little bit in those that are hiking in the southeastern part of the United States. So
you don't have to hike in August.
You don't have to hike in August to make
Hike
this
earlier.
happen.
A lot nicer.
A little better weather for you guys, but also if you're like us and you get to the high country, you'll have the window to be able to get into the high country and not battle as many snow passes. So I think we got the range for the execution of the trip also right this year. But yeah, I'm really excited to go do some long distance hiking, hopefully in Colorado and in all of their awesome backcountry. So there's not many places, in my opinion, where I've been. There's not many places that you can stand on a peak or even a pass and look around and just see like nothing but like 13 and 14,000 foot peaks all around you. It was a pretty phenomenal place. So I can't wait to go back there and bring you guys with me this time. Mm-hmm. So you've heard me talk about it a bit, so you get to come see it for yourself. But yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate your guys' time coming on and talking everyone through this program. We're really excited to launch this again. We're very thankful for everyone who's listening that was in our beta group last year, that contributed, that commented, and that really inspired us to do this again. We hope you'll join us again. And we're also really excited to open this up now to the public so that everyone can join. Invite your friends, family members, whatever. Get them on the same training program as you. Get them doing the same thing so that when you go out on the trail, you're not just killing them on the trail. Like it happens all the time. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So think ahead, make big plans, and we're going to help you execute them. We're going to be hiking alongside you. We're going to be sharing our experiences alongside you, and it's going to be a very fun and what I would say is probably the best DIY event that you could take part of. So With that, really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast. If you have not rated the podcast, you know what to do. Go give us the rating. It really helps us get seen. This podcast is growing. Really thankful for that. It allows us to have a bigger platform to share our message to the world. So really appreciate everyone who's left reviews for us or shared this podcast. That also is going to help us immensely. But if you've got additional questions for us, we did just do a Q&A, but as always, if you've got questions, you can email those in to liveultralightpodcast@gmail.com. That's going to forward to one of our work emails here. Or jump over to YouTube, where we have this podcast growing very well over there right now, where you can just leave a comment directly on the video, which we're filming / recording right now. And then we can kind of have a two-way conversation there too in the comments section. So really appreciate everyone who's listening. Hope you guys are getting out there, even though it's winter. I hope you guys are prioritizing your time outside and your connections there. And with that, we'll see you down the trail.